This video will contain major spoilers for JoJo's Part 7 and minor spoilers for JoJo's Part 8, because in today's video we will be talking about Johnny Joestar, also known as Jonathan Joestar, also known as Joe Kid. We will be talking about the former horseback riding prodigy turned paraplegic turned stand user and spin master. But without further ado, before we get into the video, as we usually do, a like and comment would go a really long way. Maybe comment something down below, like what you think about Johnny or what you like about him, or comment down below what you're excited to see in the upcoming Still Ball Run anime. And if you do that, Johnny will appear at your house and he'll shake. He'll do the thug shake, and you know we all like the thug shake. So let's start off with Johnny's introduction, which out of all the Joestars and JoJo's, Johnny actually has quite a weird introduction, because I don't even think, if my memory recalls correctly, he doesn't even appear in the first chapter of Part 7. He doesn't appear until Chapter 2, where he appears in a small little panel as he accidentally bumps into Gyro, or bumps into someone, basically. Which, you know, there's a whole debate if who is the main character of Still Ball Run, if it's Johnny or Gyro. A lot of people will say it's both, but I'm kind of deep in my JoJo roots, where the Joestar is the main character. It's just Gyro is just a really important Joe bro. So don't at me on that, that's just my opinion. But we're introduced to Johnny as a quite distant, more sad paraplegic man, as his life was ruined when he was shot in the spine, taking a girl on a date, and she was like, I don't want to wait in line, why don't you use your popularity to get us? And that's what Johnny started to do, and he started to like it until he was shot in the back. And he wakes up a few days later in the hospital, and he reveals that the world has kind of forgotten about him. Then he learns about the Still Ball Run, he decides to go to it. There he meets Gyro Zeppeli, and when Gyro was confronting a man, he uses his spin ability, and for a second Johnny touches the spinning steel balls, and that allows Johnny to get up and walk for a few seconds. And Johnny becomes very intrigued in Gyro's balls, making Johnny sign up for the Still Ball Run and participate alongside contestants such as Gyro Zeppeli, Diego Brando, Poco Loco, Sandman, and Hot Pants, and many, many more. So, the main characteristic of Johnny is, I would say, is his resolve or determination, because as we see in Still Ball Run, when Johnny sets his mind on something, he is going to try to get it to the best of his ability. For example, the whole reason he goes into the Still Ball Run is to learn more about Gyro and the spinning steel balls, and he even goes so far as to follow Gyro in the Still Ball Run, and they even kind of form a team up at first, and they enter the Devil's Palm and continue to go on, and the race becomes more than a race. But Johnny doesn't really care for a lot of people, as he's kind of seen very offish to other people. He doesn't really care for much folk, to the point where it's when he was introduced to Gyro, he kind of just wasn't really caring about the people around them, more just so focused on Gyro. Another thing that points to Johnny's burning determination is what is referred to as his dark determination, to the point where he will kill anyone in cold blood and basically just throw all of his morals out the window when needed, and he will try to kill his opponents, and even will go as far to try to destroy a corpse part so that no one else can have it. So another big thing about Johnny is his journey in Still Ball Run, because Johnny is a story about becoming a better person, I would say. Johnny enters the story kind of I wouldn't say completely traumatized, just slightly traumatized, and he's burdened with depression. And before he became a horse jockey, he had a very bad lack of confidence. So a big thing about Johnny is that in Still Ball Run, Johnny goes through a path of self-improvement, I would say. Let's start with Johnny's flashback in his early years. Johnny was kind of a depressed, very lackluster young man / teenager. I guess early teenager. I don't really remember how old he was. But Johnny didn't like killing things, and he had a mouse named Danny that his father really didn't like. So Johnny didn't kill it and instead just went and put it in the forest. And Johnny doing that would later make Danny run out of the forest and startle his older brother Nicholas Joestar, who was horse riding that day. And Nicholas falls off his horse and dies. And like the accident, I think the horse crushes him. And it's really sad, and the dad blames Johnny for that, even goes as far as saying that God took the wrong child, or the wrong son. But upon going to the San Diego, which is the start where the still ball run starts, Johnny improves greatly upon meeting Gyro and going through the journey they do. He feels really grateful for how Gyro treated him and the things he taught him, and they really bond together. They really do feel like how a Joestar and a Joe Bro should feel. They really do feel like best friends, and a lot of people will say some stuff like lovers, but I don't really think that. And another thing that points to Still Ball Run being a story of becoming a better person for Johnny is looking at his stand, Tusk, which Tusk is a multi-act stand that has 4 acts. I'll talk about those real fast. So Tusk Act 1 is awakened in the second stage of the Still Ball Run in the Devil's Palm, when the corpse part enters Johnny's left hand, and it manifests his stand to Tusk Act 1, which Johnny can spin his nails and fire them like bullets. And if he does certain things, like drink like special tea, he can grow his nails in seconds. So starting with Act 2, this is where like the parallels of Johnny becoming a better person start. So Tusk Act 2 manifests when Johnny is fighting Sandman, and he incorporates the golden rectangle into his nails, which when he does like the golden triangle attack, his nails take a bit longer to grow, but the nails possess more power and a new ability that lets the holes of the bullets follow the target for a short amount of time. But Act 2 could be seen as the Johnny getting the ability to stand up for himself, as he does against Sandman. And later on, in I think it's Pennsylvania, he gets Act 3, where Tusk Act 3 is kind of just like the base form for Tusk, and it manifests when Johnny shoots a golden rectangle nail, enabling himself to transfer parts of his body through the holes made by the nail bullet, and he could shoot it from different directions. And it's awakened when he talks with Jesus Christ in his fight against Axl Rowe and his stand Civil War, which, that's probably sounding very crazy out of context, but Tusk Act 3 can be like seen as Johnny like cleansing himself of his guilt, because Axl Rowe's Civil War is guilt manipulation, essentially, and he's blessed by Jesus in this fight. And then we finally get the big one, Tusk Act 4. It manifests itself as Johnny utilizing Slow Dancer's power, which is his horse. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. So he empowers his horse's power with the golden rectangle, which enables Johnny to fire golden spin nail bullets that have infinite rotation, which it's very crazy, and it's enough power to force open D4C Love Train's dimensional wall and trap anyone to hit it, and if it's hit, that person will spin indefinitely forever until they just die. And Act 4 is just like the cherry on top, like Johnny is now like a better person, and with Act 4 he can also use the spin to like walk, so he's able to walk by the end of the story, basically. But by the end of the story, Johnny is actually a much better person than what we've seen of him at the start of Still Ball Run in the flashbacks. He's a bit more friendly towards people, and eventually he meets his wife, Rena Higashida, when the Still Ball Run is over, and he goes to like bury Gyro, and they travel the world a little bit. But, his horse. So, Johnny Joestar's main horse is Slow Dancer, which is an old farm horse. That's kind of just it. She's an old horse. I think it's a she. But, yeah, it's stated that, like, at the start of the part, that Slow Dancer is actually kind of bad for the race, but Johnny makes it work. So, shout out to Slow Dancer for that one. And now it's time for the little bit of a Part 8 spoiler. So in Jojo Leon, we learn about the fate of Johnny Joestar, where Johnny happily married to Rena when she was stricken with a disease that was turning her skin into rock. And while he was unable to find a curse, Johnny experiences a lapse in his character due to his depression again over the matter, making him return to his selfish old self that once plagued him in the past. And upon seeing his son afflicted with the same disease, he goes to use the Holy Corpse, and he uses the Holy Corpse and uses equivalent exchange, which takes his own life to save his son. And that is the end of Johnny Joestar's main story. I will just talk about some other things. So Johnny Joestar overall ended the still ball run in a whopping 4th place, which is really good, which also granted him $10,000. So big ups for Johnny. And Johnny Joestar had a very bizarre adventure, I would say. He made a lot of friends in the form of Gyro and Lucy Steele. He fought a lot of enemies, Diego, Sandman, Funny Valentine, just a lot of people. And yeah, that's really it for old Johnny Joestar. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Johnny. Do you guys like him? Do you not like him? Comment down below what you are hyped to see in Still Ball Run anime. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.